Navy game when we were at MetLife Stadium a couple of years back. I
Yes.
didn't expect much out of the game. Hell of an experience. It's a
Oh yeah.
dogfight.
I
So
I loved every minute of it.
yeah, so definitely if you're near the area, it's in Philly this year, I
It
believe.
is in Foxborough,
Oh, it's in Massachusetts. If you're in the
Massachusetts.
area, I recommend going highly.
Mm.
But also watch on TV. Just great historic game, but we got a lot more to talk about today. So, college football, the College Football Playoff Committee has just released the rankings for the final top 4. We have our bracket. Lots has lots has already been said about it. We're gonna say even more about it.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's coming up too. And we're gonna give a almost full preview of bowl season. We're gonna talk about our top picks. We're gonna talk about our championship bracket. We're gonna talk about some games that you should look forward to. But we start the show off one way. And how is that, Chuck?
Hey, dubs and L's.
Let's give out some W's and let's give out some L's. And Chuck, I would like you to start and give us our first W of the week.
Now today is definitely college football day, but first off, I want to put NBA into the perspective because I think the NBA in-season tournament is one of the best ideas the NBA has had in a while. We already saw it. If you watched the games last night, we had the Pacers versus Celtics, and then we had the Kings versus Pelicans. Both underdogs won. Pacers beat the Celtics by like 12 points in the end. And then the other game, we had the Pelicans beating the Kings at Sacramento. And you can just see by the overall like competitive and the players just going at each other. And it's really, really good for this league. And nobody is taking time off of these games, obviously, because of the incentives. And you really see playoff basketball before playoff basketball even touches the like June or July, and it's awesome. And what I really like about it is that it's not like a deep bracket, but it's what is it? I think it's like 8 teams, just 8 teams right off the gate, single elimination, balls to the wall. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win this money? So hats off to the NBA. Huge dub this season adding this tournament, and I can't wait to see what happens tonight. We got Knicks versus the Bucks, and then we have Suns versus Lakers, and they got the matchups right too. Just good matchups all around. I'm excited.
It's great for a lot of reasons. Number one, it gives incentive to teams that aren't going to compete for an NBA championship to win some hardware this year.
Yeah.
Number two, it gives incentive to lower tier players who don't make the high salaries to get a little bit of extra money this season. Number three, it leads to not just more competitive games, but more competitive games throughout because at least in the group games, all the points mattered because of point differentials. So teams were trying till the very end. I like that a lot. The only change that I want to see starting next year, and I know this will probably impact their scheduling because it coincides with the regular season, but I'd like to see some matchups with East and West teams combined to make some more unique matchups in the groups.
I like
But
that.
this idea has been a slam dunk, no pun intended.
I like
Bang,
slam dunk
bang,
as well. It's
hell
been an
yeah.
alley oop.
Yes, it's been a hoopla. All right, that's enough of that. I'm going to give my W out to Mr. Jordan Love, who was written off maybe not 5 weeks ago,
Hmm.
even by his own organization, who said that they are not committed to their quarterback for next year, which rightfully so. He hadn't been playing all the best, but every team kind of goes through their midseason struggles. Maybe not every season, but at some point, like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, uh, you know, Purdy even had at some point. Like they've all had these kind of struggles at certain points in their careers. But Jordan Love is not only has he really turned a corner, he's showing some crazy potential. He's not just being a game manager. And I would like to acknowledge that in that game on Sunday night, the Chiefs lost their defensive play caller very early in the game. So that wasn't the same Chiefs defense that we've seen all year. And I will acknowledge that. But still, the
Yeah.
Packers are moving the ball effortlessly. Love was converting third downs like it was easy. And play of the game was when he was backed up on a third down, fourth down actually, and he threw up a prayer to Romeo Dobbs that if it was thrown an inch left or an inch right, it would have been incomplete. But he just dotted this ball like a mountain right into Dobbs' arms, and then the very next play hits Christian Watson for a difficult touchdown. Love is making very clutch plays, and it shows how differently the Packers are ran from most organizations, where every team is in a rush to get it figured out now.
Yeah.
The Packers drafted a quarterback 3 years ago. Every team was shitting on them. Every person was shitting on them, every analyst.
Yeah.
And, it's definitely right in some cases because it did piss off Aaron Rodgers. And they didn't get a Super Bowl out of Rodgers in the last 10 years of his career. But they did invest heavily into the quarterback position, let him watch for years and years. And it's starting to pay off, that experience, having to bounce back from bad situations, that's stuff that's learned over time. And kudos to Jordan Love, especially this week because it was on a primetime game and everyone got to see it.
Yeah.
And the Packers have a very easy schedule the rest of the way. So look for this team in the playoffs, and they could possibly make noise.
I couldn't agree more. He's balling out. Even though he beat my Chiefs, and I'm pretty salty, he absolutely threaded through a defense that is maybe the number 2, number 3 defense in the league. And he has like 9 touchdown passes through, I think, 3 weeks. So the sky's the limit for him. And you kind of see it from when Rodgers was behind Brett Favre. And then Rodgers came about. Even though Rodgers came about right away, you're starting to see Love kind of play like Rodgers. And good for the Packers for sticking with him.
Absolutely. All right. Let's stick with some L's.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chuck, I'll let you go first on this one. Who gets your L this week?
I think this might be L of the year, and it's like a feel bad L, but it's definitely L of the year. Florida State just going 13-0 and not making the college football playoffs. Like, all you can do is definitely feel bad for them. But I talk to like older people like my dad or like other guys you see like who were talking about it, and they're like Florida State should have been in. They're 13-0. I mean, I think the committee got it right here. Like, they really didn't beat anybody. They almost lost to Boston College. They beat Louisville in the championship, right? But I mean, they could have beat them by a little bit more points. And I think the sole reason is definitely because their quarterback went down. But then again, like, their schedule was not there compared to most of the teams that got in right now. Now, Shoop, do you think the committee got it right?
I believe that based on resume, Florida State should have been in. But didn't we get rid of the BCS like for that reason?
Yeah.
To abolish resumes and pick teams that we feel are the best.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people point out that Alabama has won a lot of close games against not so great competition, like South Florida and Arkansas, for example.
True.
But they seem to forget that they just beat the number 1 ranked team in the land. Like, that's the best win in college football. I know. And the only win that's better is Texas. And Texas was rightfully ranked ahead of Alabama.
Yes.
Florida State, the ACC wasn't that great this year. I believe they beat LSU, right, early this year?
Yeah, first week.
It's a good win. It's the other 4 teams in the top 4. The top 4 teams all have better wins.
Yeah.
So it's tough for Florida State, and it's tough for people who hate Alabama and hate seeing the same teams every year.
Yeah.
But I won't lie. I mean, especially as an Ohio State fan, if Michigan got Florida State in the semifinal game, well, you can book Michigan to the national championship. It's just no question about it. But Alabama, that game is extremely watchable. That's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be, I'm very excited for that game. Hopefully, Alabama wins bias, but
yeah. Not even biased. Bam is gonna. We'll get to that, but Bam is gonna win. Roll damn Tide. I hate them too, but they're the better team.
We'll hold off on the predictions just for a little bit because we got some L's to talk about from me.
Yeah.
I have a couple because I couldn't decide, so I'm going to do both. So I'm going to start with segmenting from my W. We're talking about an organization that treats quarterbacks right. And I don't want to harp on this too long because we've mentioned the Jets already and their failures as an organization.
Mm-hmm.
But the hits keep coming. And this time, the Jets already this week have released Tim Boyle after starting him for 2 weeks in a row. Not bench him, full out release him. They're just setting up the next quarterback in line. And now who is that going to be? Well, are they going to go back to Zach Wilson? Well, apparently it doesn't matter because Zach Wilson doesn't even want to start, apparently. Is this a report true? It could be. Why it was leaked by the organization, why they're trying to make their choice look worse, I don't know. But even though the Jets have 4 wins this season, they feel like the worst team in the NFL. Just like how things have been ran this season, it's just a flat out embarrassment. Aaron Rodgers definitely isn't coming back. Not that he should, but just look at the Jets 2023 season as how to not run an organization, and that's well, I'll leave that at. That's bad. Really I did want to talk about for my L a theme this Sunday in the NFL, which was sideline incidents. There's 2 I want to point out. Number 1 was in the Saints-Lions game. An NFL official, one of the guys who handles the chains, like the first down chains, his leg just got absolutely destroyed by Alvin Kamara. And it wasn't Kamara's fault. Kamara was just, making an NFL play. His momentum was out of bounds, and the guy just happened to be in the way, and Kamara landed on the guy's plant leg. And the genius camera operator at Fox decides to do a zoom in on this guy's leg as he's screaming on the ground in pain. Like even I was watching Red Zone as that happened. Even Scott Hansen acknowledged that he couldn't help but see that. Like that was a horrendous injury, and I hope number 1 that guy has good insurance from the NFL. The NFL has his ass covered.
Definitely,
but like it makes you kind of question. Like I've seen that happen so many times where guys run out of bounds and like tackle guys, and this is the first real time I've seen someone get seriously hurt by that. I think the NFL should do something about the amount of people that they have so close to the sidelines in these types of games. Like it doesn't make sense.
I agree.
And then there's certain people that shouldn't be close to the sidelines at all. And that's Mr. Big Dom from the Eagles, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Dom.
How the hell is a guy like that allowed to get into a player's face? Now, I'm not saying Dre Greenlaw was a victim. Dre Greenlaw was kind of dumb for getting in a non-player's face in the first place. Like, he deserved the ejection for that. But the fact that a guy not involved in the game can get up in a player's face and start stuff is a disgrace. Because from the other side, like the player should know, we know that the player will get all the consequences in that situation. Of course, the Mr. Dom, apparently he's a Philly native. He's like a restaurant owner or something. Like he's
a security.
He's a security guy. So he has an important job, but like he really doesn't face the same consequences that Greenlaw does in terms of the game outcome, which it didn't really impact it because the 49ers kicked their ass. But something's got to be done about those kind of guys being able to get involved in players' faces. Like like a fan can't do that. A fan would get thrown in jail. Like I thought it was a disgrace.
There should be a fine because Greenlaw's gonna lose most of his game check in that situation because of how it looked. And I think we all know what Greenlaw was doing right there. Because like when you put your hand up like this, like and then go to point, like come on, you knew what you were doing. You're gonna try and do something to that guy in your way. But if Greenlaw's getting fined, that guy should get fined too. Definitely some sort of fine.
a portion of whatever paycheck he makes, for
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
sure. Well, lesson learned, guys. Don't drink water down the wrong pipe, especially on a live TV show.
All
But anyway,
sips.
yeah, small sips. Okay. So anyway, we're gonna move on to college football bowl season,
Oh yeah. Go
and we're
bold.
gonna talk about the playoffs, of course. But first, we're gonna go into non-major bowls. We're gonna talk about our most anticipated bowls, our best picks, and our biggest upset of all the bowls. But let's
Yeah.
start with our biggest locks. So we have a whole 40 game slate, and I know a lot of you listening are going to be filling out your college football bowl pick'ems. You're going to try to win your office pools or whatever it is. So me and Chuck are here to help. Chuck, I want you to give the audience, if they had to pick their three most confident picks to get themselves the most points, what three teams are you going with?
So first to start out, which I think it's a lock. So we're gonna go to the Capital One Orange Bowl, Georgia, 12-1 versus Florida State 13-0. Now I think you should just put the most points that you get in that situation on Georgia. Maybe half of the points, but it's Georgia all the way there. Another game that I like, we got JMU versus Air Force in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl, which is kind of funny. Air Force is playing in the Armed Forces Bowl.
Right.
But we're going to fade the Armed Forces, and we're going to go with JMU to win that game. JMU, explosive offense. Air Force is a good team, but I just don't think they have the defense to catch up with the speed that JMU has. And then my last one, I'm looking at right now, Oklahoma versus Arizona in the Valero Alamo Bowl. I think Oklahoma all the way. I think Arizona has showed up defensively lately, but I think Oklahoma has better guys on offense to absolutely just just throw passes all the way around them and probably win by like 20. So those are my three top ones.
All solid picks. I'm going to give the audience three more that you can put at the top of your list. Number one being Oregon versus Liberty. Congrats, Liberty. Finish the season undefeated and make it to a near six bowl. Huge for the program, especially for a program that wasn't even Division One FBS too long ago. Like they recently joined. They recently got eligibility, but it's not a fair matchup. Oregon is 11-0 versus teams not named Washington this year, and their offense has been really, really good. I mean, Bo Nix is still Heisman contender, and you got to think Oregon's pissed at how the season ended up playing out, and I think they're just going to kind of take it to this team, Liberty, who they'll be highly motivated, but it's just a talent mismatch here, as is this LSU versus Wisconsin game. Not the Wisconsin team that we usually see. This LSU team is dominant on offense. Wisconsin team is not fairly strong, really, in any particular area. I just think the LSU outclasses them by a wide margin, and I'll take them by 20 points in this one. And one more game that I like. So Kansas versus UNLV. Similar records here, but Kansas much better, much better strength of schedule, much more talent surrounding the team, and highly motivated to play this game because Kansas is on the come up as a program. They're trying to get all the positive wins they can get. They're not going to overlook this team. UNLV turned the program around. Great season, get 9 wins, but once again, another talent mismatch. So, and all those games, all those teams are at least 9-point favorites. So you should feel pretty comfortable putting them at the top of your pools.
I like that.
Yep. But now on the other end of things. So if you're into picking favorites, what favorite should you watch out for? Who's on upset alert in bowl season?
My upset alert right now. So Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl, baby. Rutgers versus Miami. Miami is favorited by 3 points. It's going to be a home game for Rutgers. It's going to be played at Yankee Stadium. Everybody in New Jersey is going to hop on over the Cross Bronx, and they're going to come over to the stadium, and it's going to be a Rutgers home game. So definitely give me Rutgers 6-6 over Miami, who's 7-5. That's definitely my upset.
Chuck, I like your pick so much so because that was literally what I was going to pick. So I will go with a backup option here. And my pick instead is going to be the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Citrus Bowl versus Tennessee.
Really?
Has Tennessee seen a defense like this all season? It's hard to say. And Iowa, they've been able to string together good performances, mostly on defense. They can't move the ball at all on offense, but that's how they play their game. It's a style that Tennessee is totally not going to be used to. And I think 7.5 point spread here is immensely high. So Iowa will at least cover, but I like them for the upset too. I think there's a lot of young guys on this team with all the injuries that Iowa has had, especially on offense. A lot of guys are trying to prove themselves for next year. So not going to be a huge disparity between the regular season team and this team, as we sometimes see with teams resting starters like pro-ready starters. So give me Iowa for the upset.
Now about Iowa, I don't know if you remember this. The Big Ten championship this past weekend, there was a bar that was like free drinks until Iowa scores their first points.
Oh boy,
the game ended 26-0. So I hope Iowa scores for that bar's sake, because they're just going to be giving out free beer all day. But for the people drinking there, hell, I mean, I hope Iowa doesn't score.
So you're saying that promo is still going on?
I think so. I haven't looked into it, but it has to be. I don't know. Maybe they stopped it, but I definitely got to look into it.
And we got to get on a flight or something. Yeah, we got to get our asses over there so we can hop in on that.
Field goal in the fourth, and then we'll stop drinking.
I don't know what we're waiting for. All right. But I know you guys have been waiting for this. And, before we get into our top 4 predictions, game you're most excited for bowl season, something that we didn't mention yet.
I actually, you said the one. I have 2. So the one you said, Liberty versus Oregon, I might put Oregon on upset alert. I don't know. Liberty is explosive. If Oregon comes out and plays like they did against Washington defensively, Liberty can move the ball. You might see like a 50-45 ending score here, but definitely watch out for Liberty to win that game. And people might not hate that pick, but I think Liberty can do it. Another game that we really haven't touched on, got to go to the Buckeyes, Missouri versus Ohio State. I think this also could be a highly scoring game with like a lot of offensive action and also defensive turnovers. I definitely think Ohio State's going to win, but I'm not too sure. Do you know if what's his name is playing, or like he's transferring, he's not playing anymore?
McCord is definitely transferring, so I don't think he's going to be playing. And you gotta also wonder if Harrison's going to play. I highly doubt it. He's probably going to draft.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Ohio State is rinse and repeat. They replace these guys. So watch out for freshman Carnell Tate, receiver, to step up and have a huge performance in this game.
I like that.
And I'm most excited for USC versus Louisville because, is Caleb Williams going to play? Probably not. But that doesn't deter my excitement for this game because it's like the stoppable force versus the movable object, which is Louisville's offense versus USC's defense. Who is going to win this matchup?
I like that.
It seems like though or USC's defense will let anyone score on them. But USC, they still got the playmakers on offense. They still got that West Coast style offense that's going to put up a lot of points. And I think this is the kind of game where, like, if you just want to sit back and just watch a game with a lot of scoring, this is your game. So
I just looked it up. Caleb Williams isn't playing.
Yeah, no surprise there.
But that's still going to be a good game.
Yep. Next overhyped prospect in the NFL.
I hope he does good.
We'll get into that. Top 4 preview. So we know the top 4 now. We got Michigan at 1. we got Washington 2, Texas 3, Alabama 4. So let's start with the 1 versus 4. Michigan versus Alabama. Michigan enters the college football playoff for the first time ever as the number 1 overall seed. For the first time in 30 years, they're number 1 overall in the AP poll as well. So historic season for Michigan, but they haven't been able to win their first playoff game since it came into existence almost 10 years ago. Alabama is very familiar with these kinds of situations, and Alabama was dismissed as not even being a contender for a long time until they upset Georgia after barely squeaking by Auburn, and now they find themselves in the playoff. So you kind of hinted at it before, but what's your feeling on this game?
I'm definitely going to take Alabama over Michigan. Not that I definitely think Michigan can beat Alabama, but I think Alabama just has I think they have the better quarterback. I think they have more athletic wide receivers on the outside. Their defense showed up against a Georgia team that just bullies other people, and they bullied right back. So that's like insane momentum to build off of. Michigan just played like not one of the weakest in the Big Ten, but definitely like the 6th or 5th best team in the Big Ten. So I don't think that win is very impressive. I think they should have won. They should have won by more. They should have won maybe like 40-0 against Iowa. But this is going to be a great game. It's definitely going to end up in a 1-score game. But I definitely have Bama beating them by 5.
Mm-hmm. Well, first thing I want to acknowledge is J.G. McCarthy looks like a pro quarterback. He was excellent in that game against Ohio State with his not just his leadership, but accurate throwing of the ball. He's a perfect leader for his Michigan team. Best quarterback they've had in quite some time. The one thing that concerns me if I'm from a Michigan standpoint, you're rolling in the later part of the season with your interim head coach. Jim Harbaugh comes back into the fold. Does that mess up the dynamic? Is there going to be distraction there? And then you have a program like Alabama that's just Michigan's been there before, but Alabama has done it before. And Alabama's got all the momentum in the world, and they're almost going to be playing in like an underdog status. It's really hard to go against Alabama here. I think it's just going to be a super close back and forth game that ends up with Alabama winning by 2 points.
Alabama money line is at plus 100 on FanDuel right now. It's definitely going to be minus 110 in 5 days. So everybody get up on that now.
We will watch out for that. On the other side of things, Washington climbs up to the number 2 spot, which is their highest ranking ever in the playoff. Not the first time they made the playoff. For Texas, though, it is. Texas has won the Big 12 for the first time since 2009. Quinn Ewers having a fantastic season. He looks pro-ready as well. Not this year, but the following year. Texas talent across the board. Washington's got Michael Penix, Heisman contender. They're fantastic at running back. I believe Dylan Johnson is his name. He's a beast all season. And
he had a great game.
Yeah, I think the committee did a great job setting up 2 great matchups here. Who do you got in this one?
So, I mean, it's definitely going to be – I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think both defenses are due for a little bit of regression, especially since Texas just played Oklahoma State, who couldn't even move the ball effectively down the field against them. But they're going to be playing a Washington team that went up and down the field against Oregon team all day, all night. Michael Penix Jr. is up for the Heisman. I think this is definitely a tough pick. But I think that Texas definitely has better playmakers on the outside with Xavier Worthy, and their running back Brooks. Quinn Ewers has been playing out of his mind. He had one careless turnover in that Oklahoma State game as of recent, but other than that, he's been holding on to the football effectively, not turning over the ball. You can see there have been some games during the year where you see Michael Penix Jr. He doesn't have the best games, especially against inferior opponents. An example of that, I think, was the Arizona game. He didn't really have that well of a game. And I think Texas defense is definitely going to bring it to him. So I I'm thinking I'm going to go with Texas here. Definitely going to take Texas by 3.
This is as tough of a call as the other matchup. Uh, but I think I got to side Texas here just because of the amount of NFL talent here, the momentum that
Yeah.
Texas has. And obviously Washington has great momentum too. But the Pac-12 is deep in conference, but I don't necessarily think that they're very top heavy. I think Texas maybe even has more talent at the top, and Texas is starved. They're waiting. They've been waiting for this moment for so long, and they know this is where they belong. I think they're going to step up into the moment. Um, and there's something to be said about a team that has suffered a setback all year, like Washington has, and it's just so deep at the top this year that they're so competitive. But I just give Texas that little bit of competitive edge in this matchup. Look for Jatavian Sanders, the tight end, Texas to have a huge game. Washington allows big games to tight ends, and Dylan Johnson on the other side. He's going up against a pretty good run defense in Texas. So I think the matchup just favors Texas in this one. So I'm going to have them moving on.
I like that pick. I can't wait. I mean, I can't wait. If they win that game, if Quinn Ewers goes, "We're a Longhorn Nation. We're back." I would love that. As Sam
Yeah,
Allen survived.
yeah, he's we love a guy that loves his program and passionate about his program. You know what that sets up? A rematch. That
Yes.
week, that early September rematch that everyone was talking about. Oh, it was so long ago. It's a different season now. Well, now we get to find out in the championship game. Texas, Alabama rematch. Since this is both of our picks, let's debate who we got in this game.
So I mean, this Alabama team. So if it gets to this moment here, we got Texas, Alabama. This Bama team is 10 times better than when they played at Texas. I don't know if it was at Texas or a neutral site, but at Texas. And Jalen Milroe, everyone was giving him shit in the beginning of the season, but that guy, he's the fastest player on the field, and he's just gone progressively better, and he just looks electric, and he's tough to take down behind the when he drops back to pass. His scrambling ability is awesome. He's got an insane arm, especially looking at that throw against Auburn in the last minutes, threw a laser to the back of the end zone. Um, I hate this coming out of my mouth, but I think it's going to be roll damn tide at the end of this game. Um, Not to knock like Texas's prolific offense and Quinn Ewers balling out, but I just think we're going to see a game where Milroe just takes over.
Chuck, I'm gonna have to agree with you here. It's hard to go against a program that's shown that they've done it over and over again. Jalen Milroe, you're right. He's peaking at the correct time,
Yeah.
and he's starting to get some spotlight for how shifty he is. So they got that stability at the quarterback position. We know the defense is really good, full of NFL talent. And you just got to wonder if Texas gets this moment. They got two factors going against them. One is a moment too big for this program. It's been so long since they've been back here. Moment too big for them. And Texas, has proven that they can beat them before. But are they going to get caught up in that? Or are they going to come into this game like they haven't beaten before and they got something to prove? That's going to be the question. But it's hard to go against Alabama. They've done it before. And the SEC has proven again and again that they're a top dog in the country. So Alabama it is.
I hope we get this matchup also for next year with them with Texas leaving, going to the SEC. I think if this matchup comes to fruition, then you're just getting a taste of the years to come with how more competitive the SEC is going to be. And you could probably give it like a little foresight of how the Big Ten is going to be with new teams moving in. So I just hope when both these teams make it, if they both make it, that it's also just a good football game with a lot of entertaining plays.
Yeah, potential start of a new rivalry, and
Yeah,
we will
that too.
definitely welcome that. So there it is. Our picks, the exact same. Me and Chuck love disagreeing, but I guess not this time. So
Yeah.
we will see what happens. We got multiple weeks before these semifinal games, and of course, a month away from the championship. So we will touch back in with college football, but
Mhm.
it's time for the final part of our show, which is our
Pick 'em.
NFL pick. So we got 3 games on the slate this week, and we'll start with number one, uh, our 1 o'clock pick, which is the Falcons versus Buccaneers. 6-6 or 5-7 shouldn't be a significant game, but the possibility of being first place in the NFC South exists for both of these teams.
Yeah.
With a win here, Buccaneers obviously will be tied. Falcons could take sole possession with a win, but who ends up getting the win here? Chuck, who do you think?
So I mean, I thought this was definitely a tough pick. Both offensive offensive offenses have kind of been struggling. Falcons defense has showed up in a big way. Um, but I think when it comes to the Falcons, they love running the ball. They want to establish the run early, then get Desmond Ritter outside, trying to throw it on the run. But the Bucks, they're top 10 in run defense, but they're also top 10 worst in pass defense. But I don't think we have to look at the past here. I think that if the Buccaneers just hone in and win at the line of scrimmage, I think they can get the Falcons in a bunch of 3-and-outs. And I think Baker can do a great deal on that pass defense that the Falcons have. So I think I'm going to go with the Bucks here, and I'm going to sprinkle it all on Baker Mayfield.
I'm going to disagree with you here because I haven't done it in a while, but also because the Buccaneers are 5-7, but who have they really beaten? I mean, they had some good wins early in the season, coming out hot, and then since then, they've only really beaten the Panthers. They've just kind of beaten up on weaker competition. Not that the Falcons are some juggernaut or anything, but the Falcons, they're a good team at home, and the Buccaneers have a ton of injuries on defense. Guys might be coming back this week, but their depth is not very strong. So if another guy goes down, I worry about the ability for them to stop the Falcons' playmakers. Should the Falcons actually use them is the other question. But
Yeah.
it seems like Bijan Robinson is finally getting the touches he deserves now. And, hard to look at that last week's game where wet weather, team that didn't have much of an offense, but the Falcons have been better on defense lately, and Jesse Bates is looking like an all-pro. Give me the Falcons this week. I think they firmly take control of the NFC South.
Now, for the viewers, I am 20-13, Shoop's 18-15. So you're going to need those wins.
Tight down the stretch, and we will
go.
announce next week what bowl game the loser of our pick'em will be watching. So get ready for that.
There we go.
4 o'clock game, a usually prolific matchup in the regular season that we've had the treat of watching a lot recently. Not as prolific this season because one team is out of playoff contention, but looking into the playoffs, at least, and that would be the Bills going up against the Chiefs, who are coming off a loss on primetime television. It's going to be another great game between these two foes, even with not as much on the line, but maybe even more this time because of the position that both these teams are in, both fighting for playoff positioning or just being in the playoffs in general. So, Chuck, who do you have winning this matchup?
I mean, you know who I got. I got the Chiefs, but I am definitely worried. Chiefs have the edge at home. It's not going to help them that a couple of guys on defense are definitely hurt. Hopefully, Nick Bolton's back, so that'll get the communication done on defense. Unlike last game where Drew Tranquil got hurt and then they had to put in a backup and it was all over the place. But the Bills can definitely come in and beat the Chiefs, and I mean I wouldn't be surprised. But the Chiefs definitely need this game if they want to get the bye week. If they want to build on something going into the playoffs, they definitely have to win a game against this tough team that's going to come in and they're going to fight till the last second And I think the Chiefs win by a field goal in the end here. And also, I mean, it's going to be a street fight. Like I said before about other games, but this game is definitely going to be a street fight. It's going to be that who's going to run the ball better, who's going to control the line of scrimmage. And I think the Chiefs need to get it done if they want to have good momentum going into the playoffs.
If you ask me, who do I feel better about in this game? I'm going to say neither team, honestly. Both
tough.
teams are hurting in multiple ways. It was a bloodbath for the Chiefs in that game. Many different injuries, some not that significant, but two very significant ones. Drew Tranquil, we'll see if he clears concussion protocol. I believe he will, but he won't get many practice reps in. But the more significant injury, honestly, was Brian Cook, who was having an excellent year, young safety. It's going to be a loss to that secondary. But the Chiefs, with coming off a bye, I think they'll be focused. And the only problem with that, though, is I feel like the Bills, despite all the tough games they've had in their scheduled year, I think out of all the games, this is the one they have circled on their calendar. Like, we don't care if we make the playoffs. We want to beat this team. And the Bills constructed their roster so that they could beat the Chiefs with all the edge rushers that they have, the way that they can attack on offense, the way that they've just built their entire system.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Bills for this reason because of the uncertainty on both sides. But I just feel like the Bills are going to put all their chips on the table for this game because they had Super Bowl aspirations, and to get to Super Bowl, they wanted to beat the Chiefs. And this is the game where they can prove themselves. Well, at least our offseason theory was correct, even if we didn't make the playoffs. I do worry about that pick, though, because it is the Chiefs coming off a loss. So it's hard to bet against. But it's not like the Chiefs haven't had rough midseason stretches before. So give me the Bills in this one, and let's make that 2 picks against the grain.
Now it's spicy.
Yes. Speaking of spicy, prime time, Sunday night, Cowboys-Eagles, round 2. Ever more important now, the Cowboys are a game back of the Eagles in the NFC East. And, for number 1 seed positioning, the Eagles are trying to become the first team in almost 20 years to repeat as an NFC East champion. So I don't even have to tell you what the stakes are for this game. It's immense. But who do you think comes out on top?
Well, Shoop, I think history definitely repeats itself. Even though I despise both these teams, I'm going to have to go with the home team in the Cowboys to win. I mean, definitely their defense did not look good against a Seahawks team that isn't that explosive on offense. I think they definitely get things covered up. I think that Dak's he's going to have another 3 or 4 touchdown passing games against the Eagles defense that can't seem to stop the pass. So maybe Jalen Hurts goes Superman mode and has like 3 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns against the Cowboys defense. But I think the Cowboys at home, they're going to get this done. And then we're going to see a fight to first place in the NFC East division. And I think the Cowboys win the division.
With Cowboys, well, I was going to say Charlie, but yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this one. I don't want to say the Eagles are frauds per se because they're an excellent team.
Yeah.
But I would say them as a 10-1 team, they're frauds. They're just not excellent on defense like they have been in years past. There's major issues in the secondary and the linebacking core. And you saw that with the amount of big plays they gave up to the 49ers. Obviously, it was a great start to that game, but as the game went on, the 49ers exposed them. And when the offense isn't, firing back on every play, it's tough for them to keep up. And the Cowboys' offense has been the hottest in the NFL.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is throwing the ball at a significant historic clip, and he's got to be one of the top MVP candidates right now. Even if the defense, hasn't been playing all that great, you got to think the Cowboys have revenge on their mind, and they're going to want to. It's almost a franchise altering game for them. It's all Eagles have had a gauntlet of a schedule. They're just getting beat up. They haven't had any breaks.
No.
Just full speed ahead. You got to wonder if they've had just a lot of good variance on their side. I think it just ends in this game. Well, it already has ended, but I think it's going to continue to go in the opposite direction. So give me the Cowboys.
Can't believe we're saying that, but yeah, Cowboys.
Yeah. All right. Let's get out of. Let's stop talking about the Cowboys and let's get into some locks for the NFL. Chuck, you like to hit us with your locks of the week, so rip at it.
Yeah, real quick. NFL, we went 4-1 last Sunday. College, not so good. We went 4-5. So I'm gonna start with college first. Just 2 games. Army Navy, take the under, 28.5. I think the under is like, I don't know what it is. It's like 31-17 or like 41-17 or something like that. So take the under in this game, and then I also like Army -2.5. Go to the NFL. I got 5 picks for you in the NFL. I'm 22-19-1. We went 4-1 last time, so here we go. Rams +7.5 at the Ravens. I like the way they handled the Browns. Browns best defense in the NFL, and the Rams just went at them. I like the momentum. Ravens coming off a bye might be a lull. I think the Rams definitely can cover 7.5 points. Saints -5.5 versus the Panthers. I don't have to say much. Saints need to have a good game. So I think the Panthers are a great time to just get into that division race and beat them by like 10 points. So give me your Saints -5.5. Bengals versus the Colts. Give me the Bengals +1.5 versus the Colts. 1 p.m. game. Colts definitely look good, but the Colts, I think, have played shittier competition than the Bengals. And with the Bengals winning against the Jags last night and Jake Browning looking like one of the best NFL quarterbacks in the league, I think you got to go with this Jake Browning ride. So I'm taking Jake Browning, the Bengals, +1.5 against the Colts. Then we got a 4 p.m. Broncos at Chargers. Chargers look abysmal, and they only put up 6 points against the Patriots. Even though their defense laid the Patriots in a goose egg, I still don't think the Chargers are a good football team. And I think the Broncos are going to get back on track where they were going. They're going on the road again. And I think the Broncos cover 3.5 points at the Chargers. And now the last pick, just kind of iffy on this. I almost went with Vikings, but it's Raiders versus Vikings, 4 p.m. Raiders are at home. Give me the home team. Raiders +3. The Vikings, Joshua Dobbs, has not looked good these past couple of games. They're coming off a bye. Maybe Dobbs will look better, but I like the Raiders at home to cover 3 points, especially as an underdog.
All right, man. Locked and loaded with NFL picks. So I'll touch on a few games that you didn't touch on. But first of all, I do like the Rams as a lock at +7.5 versus the Ravens. Stafford is healthy, and this Rams team looks pretty good. Even though the Ravens have looked dominant all year, I think the Rams are very underrated. Sean McVay has gotten those guys to play very well on defense, despite all the young talent that they have. 3 other picks that I like, and one of them is my upset of the week. I like the Bears to cover the spread versus the Lions. There's definitely a stark difference between the Lions at home versus on the road. And it didn't look like it, but that was in a dome. It didn't look like it last week against the Saints, but that was in a dome. Lions are used to playing in dome. This is going to be in some wet weather. It's going to be some weird weather conditions. I don't think the Lions are going to take the Bears all that seriously. I think the Bears are still trying to win, knowing that they have the number 1 pick basically locked up anyway because of the Panthers.
Yeah.
Justin Fields is still trying to prove he's the quarterback of the future. So lots for them to play for here. And the Lions are exceptional at running the ball, but the Bears are pretty decent at stopping it. So it's not like the Lions have a huge advantage to exploit here. And in a wet weather game, I like the Bears to cover the spread and potentially get this upset in a game they'll be highly motivated to win. 2 other picks that I like, the 2 Monday night games. First, you have the Dolphins. They're a 14.5 point favorite against, or a 13.5 point favorite against the Titans. I don't think it's high enough. I think the Dolphins, for some reason, they keep getting the shittiest teams in the NFL. I don't know how the schedule worked out in their favor like that. But it's just going to be another game where it's a huge mismatch where the Titans can't stop anyone on the pass. Dolphins destroy teams in the passing game, and the Titans are a far better team at home, much more competitive. They've won all their games at home. It's going to be a no contest here, which it's would normally be a good thing for them to have 2 games on Monday night, but I don't think the other Monday night game will be competitive either. That is the Packers versus the Giants, and I harped on the Packers before, and I already talked about Jordan Love. This Packers team, they're 6-6, but they've lost a couple of close games. If they were 8-4, we'd be talking about the Packers totally different from what we have been saying. But from that impressive Thanksgiving win over a very good Lions team to this very impressive Chiefs win, Packers have great momentum. And of course, there is the possibility of a complete letdown after a big victory like that. But the Giants, I think people might forget that, despite the last 2 victories over, inferior foes, it's just not a good team.
Yeah.
They're going to be outmatched offensively and defensively. So I'll take the Packers and the Dolphins to cover their spreads on Monday night.
Hey, it's okay. Tommy Cutlets, we still believe in you, man. We still believe in you. If you beat the Packers, that'd be awesome. That would be my Christmas present.
It would, I'm still going to root for them, of course.
Yeah.
And side note, also, apparently he also DJs. Like he was at Wicked Wolf in Hoboken DJing.
I think I did see this. Yeah.
So shout out to Mr. Multi-Talented over here.
Yeah. I played ball with his younger brother. Great family.
Yes, amazing. So that is going to be it for our show for this week. We're very happy that you were able to join us. If you're watching on the live stream, if you're not, if you're catching us after, please leave a comment. Tell us your favorite part about the show. And if you haven't followed our Spotify yet, link to our Spotify. This episode will be up on Spotify soon. And we hope that you stick with us throughout the stretch in the NFL. But thank you for tuning in. I'm Schup.
I'm Chuck.
And we will see you next time.
Week.
Next time.
Bowl season.
Peace.
We're back.
Bye.